Hi, and welcome back to Hill and Ponton's YouTube channel. I'm attorney Rachel Cheek. Today, we're going to talk about where the VA keeps its secrets, the VA rating code sheet. So let's go ahead and get into it. First off, what is a VA rating code sheet? Well, VA decisions have three components to every decision, which are the notification letter, and that's the letter that informs you of the decision and provides you appeal options. If you've been granted back benefits, that is the document that also shows when they raised your payment amounts and by how much. The next component is the rating decision itself. So this is a document that has the big VA seal on it and then continues to tell you what the decision actually was. It should, but does not always tell you why the VA made that decision. And the third part of every rating decision is the code sheet. This is the breakdown that shows what conditions you're service connected for, when you were service connected for them, what you've been rated, whether or not that rating has changed over time, and it will also show you the combined rating of all of your service connected conditions. I want to give you a disclaimer, and in my daily practice, I call this a rating sheet. So I might slip up and use that term, but rating sheet and code sheet refer to the same document. So why is this document so important? It contains the entire history of the claim. I can't think about working on a case and developing strategy before I've looked at the rating sheet. It gives you an overview of every claim that you've ever filed. If your rating has changed, how it has changed. It shows you what diagnostic code your conditions are rated under. And depending on which diagnostic code you're rated under, that could change what criteria you need in order to get a higher rating. So in addition to showing what conditions you are service connected for, the rating sheet will also show the conditions that you've been denied service connection for. This is helpful because since the VA has switched over to the modernized system in 2019, when you file a claim, whereas before in the legacy system, you use the same form to file for a condition, whether or not you'd been denied service connection for that condition before, it didn't matter. It was all the same form. But now with AMA and beginning in 2019, if you file a claim for service connection for a condition that you've already been denied for, you have to use a different form. So if you're filing for a condition that you've never claimed before, you're going to use the VA form 526EZ. That was the document that prior to 2019, you could claim anything on that, regardless of the history if you'd claim that. Now, again, in AMA, if you are going to file for service connection for a condition that you've already claimed and been denied for, you're going to want to use the supplemental form. The distinction between whether or not you have already filed a claim for service connection for a condition is important because if you file the wrong form or the 526EZ that before 2019 you could claim anything on, you may have been used to using that form before. Now, if you use that and you claim a condition that you've already been denied, the VA is not going to process the claim. They also aren't going to process the claim if you use a supplemental claim form and you're claiming a condition for the first time. They're supposed to notify you to allow you time to file the right form, but that doesn't always happen. I see a lot of times we will file for an increased rating for a condition that's already service connected. And if that's the first increase that you're filing, despite the fact that you've been service connected already, you would think, I'll use the supplemental form, right? No. If you're claiming increased rating for the first time, you're going to use the 526EZ. If you claimed the increase before, you're going to use the supplemental form. Very intuitive, right? Gotta love VA. Again, knowing whether or not you've claimed a condition before, it's going to help you save time in your claims process. You're not going to maybe accidentally submit the wrong form, and then the VA either does or doesn't notify you that the form is wrong. Next thing you know, it's 6 months down the line, you call to figure out what the status of your claim is, and turns out the VA hasn't processed it. Didn't notify you. You got to start all over again. So knowing which form to use is really helpful, and you can determine that from the code sheet. A class that this information is going to be particularly helpful for are Bluewater Navy veterans. So if you're a Bluewater Navy veteran and you filed previously for a condition and were denied, you might want to reopen a claim now that the presumptions of herbicide exposure have been extended to you. Prior to the passage of the Bluewater Navy Act, the VA would just deny you presumptive service connection unless you could show that you were actually boots on the ground. However, now that the presumptions have been extended to Bluewater Navy veterans as well, you will be entitled to service connection for a condition that's presumptive. If I were you, I would check my code sheet, because you may even find a denied claim that you forgot you filed years ago. You can now claim that condition and receive service connection if you fit in the Bluewater Navy category. So next up, let's do a code sheet breakdown. I'll walk you through an example code sheet and we'll go over where to find what information. So some of this information on this particular sheet has been redacted, whereas when you look at your code sheet, your information will be there, of course. So this is what the rating sheet itself looks like. It also is called a rating decision, but you can distinguish this from the letter and the rating decision itself because of these boxes. And as you can see, there's not a narrative. There's no explanation of why they did what. It's just showing you what they decided. On every code sheet, you're going to have your name, file number, social security number, if you have an attorney. Sometimes they don't have the attorney right on there, so it's always worth taking a look. Next, you're going to see the little box that shows your active duty. Obviously on yours, it's going to have your entry date and your discharge date. It will show you what branch you served in and the character of your discharge. Now here we have redacted a few things, but another thing that the code sheet is really helpful for is showing future exams. So if you have a condition that isn't stabilized, that the VA has said, we're going to keep an eye on this, you're going to be scheduled for a repeat exam, you can find out when that exam is supposed to happen from your rating decision. I'll show you where to look for that exactly. So the next thing that you're going to see after those boxes is this jurisdiction statement. What this tells you is where the rating decision is coming from. Why are you getting this rating decision in this code sheet? Well, you can see here, this particular rating decision came from a claim for increase that was filed February 10th, 2020. This is helpful when you have several claims going on and you can immediately at a glance know, okay, this is that claim I filed for increased rating. They didn't say anything about the other conditions I filed, so I can see right here, this is from my February claim. If you have another decision that this is related to, sometimes they'll put two claims, they'll make one rating decision. There will be a little line here that says associated with, and it will say the other claim that this is associated with. As you can see, this one is also associated with the 526 EZ supplemental form. So this is where you're going to find your service connected conditions if you're service connected for anything. If you're not, there won't be anything here. It'll just go to the conditions that you're not service connected for. And I'll show you that as we get to the end of this rating sheet. Here you can see each condition and the rating. So here you can see for the PTSD, they have this shown as service connected, peacetime. And if you have PTSD as well, for example, but you incurred it during the Vietnam War or Operation Enduring Freedom, it will say so over here. So this says static disability, which lets you know the VA does not expect this to change. So there are not going to be recurring examinations for this condition. At first, this condition was rated 30% disabling from November 20th, 2014. And for the next 5.5 years, it stayed at 30%. However, in February of 2020, this condition was raised to 70%. And if you notice anything familiar about that date, that is because this is the claim that it was associated with. So it looks like, just going off this rating decision, you can even tell, okay, well, my rating was raised due to that claim that I filed. So in addition to your ratings and the effective dates of those ratings, you're also going to see these 4-digit codes out here by the side of where each condition is listed. These 4 digits correspond to the rating criteria that VA has set up. So depending on what your condition is and what code it's rated under, there's going to be different requirements for different ratings. So for example, 30% disability, you're going to expect less severe symptoms than from the 70% disability. But if you look at this 4-digit number, it will tell you where you can go in the VA regulations to look at the requirements for each rating. And we can link to that below in the description. So moving on, you'll see more of the same. You see what what code this condition is rated under. It's hypertension. It's rated at 20% and it is effective November 2014. If your service-connected condition was denied prior to service connection being granted, you will see that here. So here you can see the original date of denial for hypertension was back in September 2016. We don't see that with the PTSD, which means that the first time that this veteran claimed PTSD, he was granted service connection. It might not have been at the right rating, but there was no denial of PTSD as to service connection. And the reason that you're going to see the fact that hypertension has been rated at 20% since November 2014, even though it was denied in 2016, that's because, of course, it was eventually granted and the effective date went back probably to the veteran's first claim in 2014. So moving on, we'll see more of the same. You've got your codes, you've got your rating, you've got whether or not it's a static disability. And if you have a lot of service-connected conditions or one where you have a lot of residuals like MS or TBI, and you've got multiple conditions with multiple diagnostic codes, your code sheet may be up to 5 or 6 pages long. So here you're going to see your combined evaluation. And why this is important is because this is going to determine whether or not you're eligible for certain VA benefits. You may have seen some of our videos on individual unemployability. And if you have, you know that in order to be eligible for individual unemployability, you need a combined rating of at least 70%. This is really important as an attorney when I'm looking for effective dates, when I want to make sure the VA has made the correct decision. So in this case, you can see the veteran had 50% from November 2014. They were not eligible at that time for individual unemployability benefits. However, at 80% effective February 2020, they may now be eligible for unemployability benefits. Depends on different conditions, but this is a good way to see, okay, how far back potentially could my benefits go? This also is going to come in handy if you get special monthly compensation for any condition. So for example, a very common special monthly compensation category is SMCK for loss of use. In this case, it doesn't apply, but if you're receiving SMC, special monthly compensation, which is, above and beyond the rating criteria for your conditions, there will be a box on this rating sheet and it will tell you what special monthly compensation you're receiving, whether that's aid in attendance, or for loss of use, or for loss of vision, something like that. Remember I told you they'd show you the conditions that you're not service connected for? You're gonna find those at the end here. We can see here that the veteran has claimed conditions that were not service connected. So there's renal cancer that was denied in 2016. It just doesn't really tell you too much more than that because of course, if you're not service connected, you don't have a rating or an effective date, but it lets you get a rough idea of around when you filed the claim and the date that VA denied it. So you can also see that this veteran was denied service connection for adjustment disorder back in 2016. And I can tell you in my experience, the VA is not going to rate you for 2 mental conditions. You're not going to be service connected for both PTSD and adjustment disorder. You may be service connected for PTSD with adjustment disorder, but if that's the case, it will be in the description above here where your service-connected conditions are listed. The reason the veteran wasn't service-connected for adjustment disorder, he was already service-connected for PTSD. All right, and here we can see that individual unemployability has been asked for, but it has been denied. You can't see the date that it was denied here, but that just lets you know, okay, that's been claimed before. But as we see in the combined rating, this veteran may be able to apply for it. He would know that if he's able to look here at his combined evaluation. That kind of raises a flag for me. Okay, he's qualified, but it's been denied. Is the veteran working? Is there, any additional information that we need to get to show the VA that he's not working? That's a process for a different day, but that's the kind of information that you can get at a glance from the code sheet. So that was a very quick breakdown of a code sheet. I hope that this helps you with interpreting yours. But as always, if you have questions, just leave us a comment. So now that you know what a rating sheet is, why it's important, and how to interpret one, you might be wondering, how do I get mine? It may be in the folder, stack of papers, or file drawer where you keep your VA correspondence. Or if you're not so organized, like me, you might not have a copy on hand, but you can request one from the VA. It is a part of your claims file and you're entitled to a copy. It is associated with your file. That is your personal information, and you're entitled to know anything about your ongoing VA claim. Weirdly, the VA does not always send a rating sheet to the veteran when they make a decision, and this happened more in the past. They used to just send the notification letter and the rating decision, but not the rating sheet. But even if one wasn't sent to you, you have one. Even if it was a denial, you didn't receive a copy of the rating sheet, one was entered in your file. They can't make a decision without one. If we're going back to the 70s, they didn't have the same three-part process. Everything was kind of on the same document. But if you filed a claim within the last 20 years, you're going to have a rating sheet. So I hope this helped demystify some of the more complicated parts of the VA's decision-making process. I want to thank you so much for watching. Let us know in the comments if you like this video or have any questions that you'd like us to answer, either about the code sheet or any VA topic, and we may address it in our next Helen Ponton video. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss our next one. And until next time, I'm attorney Rachel Cheek.